and welcome back to Call Your Coven, practical advice for nonsensical times. My name is Bee, my pronouns are she, they, and I'm the resident numerologist, but today we're chatting.
And I'm Jeanna. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the resident astrologer. But as you may be able to suss out from the title, dear listener, we're talking witchcraft and fiction today.
Yeah, we are, which is
Yeah,
very exciting. We've been wanting to talk about this for a long time.
yeah,
Yeah, it's been on the list,
yeah. We're the
and
two resident novelists of the Call Your Coven lineup. So
Meg was very much like, I will not be joining this one, but thank you.
truly, truly. And I feel like we got into this a tiny bit when we all did that creativity and craft talk last year. That was so great that we'll link in the show notes. But like, we've just wanted to go so deep on fiction specifically that, like, I don't know, I'm really excited we're setting aside time to get into it.
We both have projects that we're working on, fiction
Yeah.
projects. Do we want to start there with like what's
Yeah.
going on currently, or do we want to start
Yeah.
broad and
I
get,
think grounding in like the frameworks we're coming from, maybe a little bit of our history of fiction writing too, because we are also both fandom bitches. We have written and read, but written hundreds of thousands of words of fan fiction over the
yes.
years. So I think that's an important framing to have. And yeah, I've been writing short stories, novels my whole life. Short stories when I was little, novels once I had the attention span, and remote craftability. I no longer write anything short. I just am a novel length bitch. But my current work in progress that I'm hoping to get to my agent within the next few months is a historical fantasy. Yeah, historical fantasy. It has to do with like Catholicism and witchcraft and some fairy tale stuff. I think it's really fun. I don't want to say too much about it because again, my agent hasn't even seen it, but like I am doing a lot of research. Like I'll show the people on YouTube. This is a current book that I'm reading, Avignon and the Papacy from 1309 to 1417, a normal part of the fiction writing process. So that's me.
I feel like it actually is though. I feel like especially because we've already said that we're fandom bitches, it's like how can I do the most niche research on a topic for an alternate universe that
It will
doesn't.
literally inform like one paragraph. I'm
Yes.
gonna read this dry ass, I mean, it's excellently researched, but it's a very academic, dry book. Like this like 300-page book about when the Pope lived in France for like 2 lines
Yeah,
of my novel.
100%.
Is that necessary? No. Does it feel necessary? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that. I guess to echo, I mean, kind of the same. Oh, but also before, I just wanted to say your idea is very fun. I have gotten to read a little bit of it,
Mhm.
he, he, he.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm in the same boat. I'm currently working on a contemporary romance full of lesbians and loving it. And same, hoping to get it to my agent. I mean, as soon as possible would be great. And that's the that on that. Uh, but we'll see
But
how
it's
it goes.
very good. I have
Thank
also
you.
had the privilege of reading some of Bee's work in progress, and it's fucking excellent.
I love our little creative channels so much where we're just
Yeah,
like, hello here.
yeah.
I've also written, yeah, since I was a kid. Like my dad's even pulled out shoe boxes from his closet that have like little stories that I've written on the back of them. Like, and it's really cute. And I'm like, you have to save that shoebox forever. Sorry, like that's gonna be
Like
worth
you
money.
wrote stories on shoe boxes. Are you fucking kidding me? Stop it.
But yeah, I have written novels. I wrote a novel in high school that I renamed Unicorns and Rainbows because it was very clearly like a love story written by someone who had never been in love before and was like self-inserting in the most wild ways. But I feel like that's how everyone cuts their teeth in
Yeah.
fiction a little.
Yeah.
And have written some short stories. One that was published in the Rebus a
Mhm.
couple editions ago, which was very exciting. And yeah, now I'm working on this contemporary romance that could be a series of three like interconnected books, which is very cool. And I also like Gina said, have written so much fan fiction in my day. And I was just actually crying to Gina, not literally, but could have been, earlier about how a couple years ago it was so easy for me to just be pouring out fiction, but specifically fan fiction, and how that is just not the case currently. And I
Yeah.
think that's also part of the process of like
Yeah.
being a writer and specifically being a fiction writer. I know we want to talk about ideas and inspirations, but sometimes they're just hitting and sometimes they're just not. And
Yeah. And there's a way
yeah.
in which fiction, and I don't have a concrete like thesis statement about this, but I do think there is something in which the way, and I do think this is applicable to narrative nonfiction, like memoir, essay collections, like histories. I think that any narrative project, like they just show up so differently and they often demand different things. So I talk to a lot of like writers in my own, classes and practice about like ideal writing routines and things like that. And I'm like, my routine changes with every book. Like, yes, I have my general preferences that are generally true, but even those don't always hold. Like, I've been working on this novel for 3 years now, and it likes to be written at night, which wild to me because I'm like, I am a day writer. Ideally a morning writer, but really like a lunchtime afternoon writer. And I like sunlight. I want to take my body into the sun and go to a coffee shop and sit and, do a scene or two. But this novel likes being written at night. And that has fucked me up for a long time because I'm like having to then recalibrate my caffeine intake and my energy and all these different things. So I also just think that like our routines change project to project. And there's also, I think, an attentiveness to spirit in a way that, like, I don't want to get too much into necessarily, like, the spirits of the project or the story lineages, but like different kinds of stories just have different paces. And also sometimes those paces change during the project. And I think that's really normal. And I just want to validate what you said.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, and for everyone listening too, that
Yeah.
I feel like this is something that will resonate with a lot of people, and especially something like you just shared, you've been working on this project for 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's a long time. Like 3 years is a lot of life, and a lot
Yeah.
can happen, and a lot of can change within 3 years. And
Yeah.
obviously, this is true for you, but probably for others as well. Like nobody's ever just writing a book, like it's just a piece
No.
of the pie. And sometimes other pieces require more, and that the book piece gets smaller. And I think that's also something that every writer can really resonate with. And so it's good to keep in mind. And I think this came up actually in our April forecast, which is
Mm,
cool as well, that
yeah.
these moments of pause or pieces of the process that are more stagnant than
Yeah.
others, like that's just part of it.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily indicative of not reaching the finish line or
Yeah.
whatever it is. But
Mhm.
yeah, my current thing, and actually this is really funny. Speaking of witchcraft and fiction, sometimes I pull cards for myself as a writer and kind of where I am in the
Mhm.
project or what needs to be brought to a particular project. And I keep pulling the sun, and specifically from,
Ooh.
I know, and like specifically from the Moonlight internet lore tarot, which I
Mm.
love. And it says, I want everything to feel like playing. And so I'm trying, this is an oxymoron, but like I'm trying, I'm like, I'm working to bring play into the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad we're having this conversation now. I think that this project that I'm working on actually does want to be written more publicly, like amongst the
Mm.
people, like going to a library, going to a coffee shop.
Mm.
And that's something that just hasn't physically been possible for me until now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that I haven't written anything. Like I wrote 100 pages of it last year. I actually did send that to my agent because I was like, "Hi, I need I need help and cheerleading and all of the things."
Yeah.
Um, and she was amazing and got back to me with great notes and
Mm.
great cheerleading. And so now I feel like I'm in a good place to get back into it and see this draft through. But yeah, I think what I need now and what this project needs from me now, like truly wasn't even possible 3 months ago.
That is
So
so real.
yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot, like to get into the process of it a little bit, because, like, yeah, I mean, I got the idea for this book literally a month after Heretic came out in
Oh,
2022, which I think is really not all ideas hit me in the body. And I think that this is kind of getting into too, like that it jump tangentially into the how do ideas come? Because I think
yeah.
sometimes ideas are spirits and sometimes they do arrive and you do get to co-create and co-collaborate. And then sometimes you've just got like I also, Heretic hit me in the body. This novel hit me in the body. My astrology for artists book, that's based on my newsletter, was the result of years of pre-existing work and then being like, oh, this is a book, And I've got like a list of like different time because I love historical fiction. Like I've loved, which is also why I love historical fantasy. I have loved this. Like, is it because we were Dear America girlies in the 90s? Is it because of the American Girl books or like Karen Cushman's Catherine Called Birdie, which I've talked about its influence on me everywhere. I love historical fiction. So I have like also running lists of different time periods or historical events or people who I would love to do something with someday. And they're just in a Google Doc. And that's like not an idea hitting me in the body, but that is me just putting a pin like on the corkboard, being like, I notice you. Okay. Like maybe later. I don't know. I think ideas can come in a lot of ways. But this is to say, I think it can be really tempting, and I say that because it is very tempting to me when I first get an idea to just go straight into magic and witchcraft for productivity. I'm going to use my sphere and sundry materia that is so super, super productive. I am going to like make a schedule for writing. And it's like, unfortunately, for me at least, again, just speaking to my own process, when ideas arrive, even if they are totally in the body, this is the thing, this is the next big book, like in that I know that, I have to spend a solid 2 to 3 years. This happened with Heretic too. I have to spend years getting to know the book, getting to know the project. It's hard to describe. It's like I can feel it in my body. It's like I can feel and taste like the structure, and I know when it's right and I know when it's wrong, but it requires a lot of trial and error to get to the version of the book that is actually going to be a full draft. So like when the first year I was working on this book, I think I wrote like 40,000 words in, different POVs, different tenses. Like I was experimenting, I was trial and erroring a lot, like got 40K in, scrapped all of it, started from scratch. Like the next year wrote like 40K more in, scrapped it, started from scratch, 20K, like, and that's just my process. I've learned. I'm like, I did that with Heretic too. It was like writing into it enough that I know what I should be doing and then I start over. And I don't know. So I feel like drafting is also an idea I don't relate to because I'm just always drafting, writing, revising. I don't know. Anyway, does that make sense?
It totally makes sense and it
Yeah.
makes me want to throw up. Like that could never be me. Like I truly would be like, I'm sorry, you want me to delete how many of my beautiful children? Like do have a problem killing darlings
Not a problem.
and
It's just a different process.
yeah. But I
We're like, yeah,
really,
sure.
yeah, to me, I would be like, this is a beautiful number. Like, what a word count. I
Yeah.
couldn't possibly get rid of this.
Yeah.
But I really respect it and the time it takes
Mhm.
from like the idea popping in or dropping in to actually having something that
Yeah.
feels like the correct physical manifestation of the
Yeah.
idea.
And this is to say, like, once I get, like, now that I am in the version of the book that is the version of the book, like, this is the version. Um, I've gotten like 50K in the last 6 months, and I am on track to finish next month and get it to my writers group and hopefully my agent. And I know that, like, if I just said that without context, people would be like, oh my God, I could never. Oh my God, you're writing so fast. Mercury and Sagittarius, it's nice. But, like, I'm only like shooting like a rocket right now because I've already done all of that work. And also like I think this is partly why I emphasize like relationship with the project and relationship
Mhm.
with the book over in my own work over like the productivity stuff. Because, like, the thing is, all the productivity magic and hacks and, like, the Sphere and Sundry, Mars, like, Cap 2 Deccan, I'll shout that out, put that in the show notes, like, the kind of oils and waters that I like to use now. Like, now it's useful. But that's not useful when what I am needing to do is just, like, drop into a character's mindset. Like, that is relationship work. That is working on the book is just spending time, is just going on walks, is listening to music, is taking a bath and just like mulling over it. Like, I just have had to do so much work personally to be like, no, that is working on the book.
Mhm.
Because I can't just, I'm in awe of writers who I get an idea and I just start writing and then I've got a draft and then I'll do another. I'm like, how do you do that? I have to like, it's just, it feels so slow to me at the start. But it's also, you know, and I'll do a link to this in the show notes. Like, it's why I talk about book alters, is because that's also my process. Is like I have had to figure out how I can physically hold space for the project when I am not in a when I am like throwing my legal pads that have like 20, 30K in the trash. Like, I have to still have a space where the book lives. Um, yeah.
Okay, I have so many things, so many
Mm.
directions we could go.
Hmm.
I want to talk about Mercury a little bit because you just said Mercury and Sag, and that reminded me I have a Mercury in Leo, so no
Yeah.
wonder I don't want to throw my words away. I'm like,
But also, we're both fire Mercuries, and to your point about your productivity and like your, or not your productivity, your prolificness and your ability to like churn out word counts, like in certain times of life, like fire Mercury. Sorry, I interrupted you.
no, this is what I wanted to talk about. And that
Yeah.
also makes me think that, yes, fire Mercury, but there's also a few years ago, I had a tarot card reading where the King of Swords came up,
Ooh.
and the reader was like, you need to embody the King of Swords more in the idea that you can trust what you're saying, you can trust
Mm.
your writing, and it is a little, again, this is how we are different. It's not that I necessarily need to write my way into it, but that I
Mhm.
need to spend just as much, if not more time turning off that inner critic or shutting down the part of the brain that wants
Yeah.
to edit and be perfect on the first draft,
Yeah.
and spend more time trusting that I don't actually need that voice because
Mhm.
I have, and this is going to sound weird and cocky, and I promise I don't mean it that way, but like I have enough solid first drafts under my belt that it's like, here
That's
you go.
real though. That's real. And also I think in the way that it's like, you know, witchcraft and writing are muscles. They're like
Mm.
cooking. The more you experiment, the more you do, the more you kind of know what goes together. Like it's very different for my wife to be cooking instinctively, who has been like cooking for decades and worked in food and like knows so much versus someone like me who doesn't really cook, who I'm like, oh, what's an acid? You know, like there's a big difference between what you're saying. I have a lot of first drafts under my belt. This is not my first time. Like I haven't not written a book in 20 years. Like
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
muscle that you gotta like, I don't know. I think that's also part of something that I see a lot of folks struggle with is like the comparison of their beginner or returning to something process to like someone who has been actively in practice. Like you'd never go to the gym and compare yourself to a fucking bodybuilder. So like, but we do that with art. And
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Well, and also to your point about how every project is different, I think
Hmm.
specifically with fiction, like I have a lot of nonfiction or creative narrative nonfiction first drafts under my belt.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of polished fiction first drafts under my belt.
Mm. Hmm.
And so picking up a new medium
Yeah.
is also putting yourself back in the beginner's seat in a way that is really deeply uncomfortable. And, you know, I think the advice of to be a good writer, you have to be a good reader
Yo.
is absolutely valid and important. And I also think that just because you read and understand the structure of a story or a book doesn't necessarily mean that you can replicate it without going through your own learning process.
Yeah.
And I will just say that's been something that's really been tough for me, is being like, oh, I don't like to feel bad at doing anything.
Yeah.
And so I actually think that's where some craft and
Mm.
some like divinatory tools can actually
Mm.
really come in handy and help us through the parts of the process where we do feel a little bit more like we're wearing the dunce cap in the corner,
So
like
real.
it's like
So
it's
real.
okay because I have a card for every single one of my 16 lesbians. So I know way more about them than I think I do. And
Yeah.
I know how people talk to one another. I can do this. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden,
You're like, I've been gay. Like, I know what this is like. For real. You're bringing up divinatory tools for the project, and I wonder if you can expand a little bit more on that in terms of like how you use divinatory tools like tarot for like you have cards for your characters. Can I ask you actually to just walk us through like how you did that? Like
yeah,
how you
absolutely.
chose to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that tarot is the tool that I've used the most in fiction, more than
Mm.
numerology, more than astrology, which tend to
Yeah.
be way more character specific. I think that tarot, because it's a storytelling tool, it really lends itself to fiction writing. So I really do think that tarot is such a gift to us,
Yeah.
fiction writers who also read tarot. And I've used it in a few different ways. And I continue to use it in a few different ways. The first is overall story. Like sometimes
Mm.
I'll pull beginning, middle, and end
Ooh,
cards
I
for,
like that.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
doesn't, you can use it in a ton of different ways. You can say like, oh, 8 of Cups. Okay, this character is, or in this story, we're walking away from someone, someone is leaving something behind. But you can also just use it as a vibe, like 8 of Cups. Okay, there's conflict here. We have conflicting emotions. Maybe this is a character that's in grief. Maybe this is a
Mm.
character that's making a hard decision. It doesn't have to be so literal to the story or the traditional reading of the card,
Yeah.
but it can be a theme, a vibe, a character trait, a story beat. It really can, you can pull cards in so many ways. I also think I already mentioned this, but pulling cards for yourself as the channel or
Yeah.
creator of the project, like what am I bringing to this? Where are maybe we meaning, in relationship, me
Yeah.
and this project finding some tension? What's
Mm.
something that could be helpful for breaking free from this
Yeah.
snafu or snag and moving on with the story? So I've pulled cards in a lot of different ways. Sometimes I pull cards for chapters too, if
Mm.
I need like the overall kind of big picture of it.
Mhm.
But for this one in particular, this story that I'm working on, it's a contemporary romance and it's a setting where there are a lot of characters. And so I knew right off the bat that I was going to be juggling. I mean, I already said at one point 16
Yeah.
different characters, and that even though we're not going to spend equal time getting to know all of these different women, I wanted them all to be real people and I want them to have
Yeah.
specificity in a way that's like, oh, I can say 3 words about that person, but you're like, I know that person. I've
Yeah.
hung out with that person
I've
before.
dated that person.
Yes, I've dated that.
Yeah.
I've dated that type of lesbian before, like a
Truly.
100%. So I just tuned in and I pulled 16 cards and I had my like I made a list of my characters and I just said, okay, this deck is, one by one, these are going to be the women. And so I pulled 16 cards and
Mm.
wrote them all down and then just spent a little time free writing for
Mm.
each of them, like whatever was coming up, whatever um for the more main characters, I knew more information about, it was like, ooh, how does this card affirm what's already going
Mm.
on here? How does it flesh out what's going on here?
Yeah.
What does this card add to a character that maybe I didn't see before? what about us, is there anything that I can use in a storyline, et cetera, et cetera. And then because this is also a romance, I'm looking at combinations of cards too.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, my main characters are the King of Wands and the Sun. And
Yo,
like, how do those two, I know.
so
And I'm
good.
like,
So good.
how do they fit together like so perfectly? But then also like those are, speaking about fire energy, those are two major fire energies. One in a way that's like, I don't even know that I'm running fire energy. I just am the
I
fire.
just yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And the
100%.
other one that's like, no, actually, like I wield the fire. And
Ooh,
so, like,
yeah.
how does that also bring opportunity for them to like quite literally burn each other or miss one another in their efforts? Like, I
Mm,
just think the combination of cards is interesting as
yeah.
well. So, yeah, yeah. Did I explain all of that well?
Oh yeah, no, I love it. I think also because I've pulled cards like for the project for like me in the project, like for my feelings or like what do I need to know about what I need to do or how this is going. But I think that in some ways I'm personally a little bit too control freak to like be like, and now I'm going to pull a card for the character. Like I don't know, that's just such an act of trust and I just love that you do that. Yeah.
Thanks. That's so interesting because I actually feel like it's not, it's part of my
Mm,
process. But like where you
mm.
say trust, I want to be like, oh, it's actually a crutch, which that's why I said it's
No,
not at
not at
all.
all. No, yeah.
But I think for me, I have the experience of reading my own fiction. And I do have to be honest, I am a big reader of my own work. Like I like to go back to my old fics that I've written and be like,
Me, I just reread Heretic on Easter.
yes.
I literally just reread my own book. So like
Did you love it? Were you like,
actually I did. I
yeah.
hadn't reread the whole thing in several years. I've like reread parts of it or like, done readings obviously, but like I hadn't reread the whole thing cover to cover like in one sitting in like 2 years. And I was just like, "Hey, this is good."
Yes. A beautiful experience.
Yeah,
And that
totally.
I like to read old stuff too, like to
Yeah.
remind myself of that I can do this.
Yes.
And I always, 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 especially with fiction, will have the experience of being like, I don't know who wrote this part, or like, I don't know
Yo.
where this came from, or
Yes.
whatever. And so I think with the tarot inclusion, that's, yeah, there is some trust, but I'm also
Mhm.
leaning into, again, a now replicated process for
Mm,
however many projects that I've worked
yeah.
on. That's like, there's a part of this that I just accept that I
Mhm.
am just the channel for.
Mm,
That, like, I
mhm.
don't know where that idea came from, or I don't know where that line came from, or if I get into a really good flow,
Mhm.
I'm not really thinking about what I'm going to write next. I am
Yeah.
just kind of cranking it out. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. All these words existed somewhere as, within and without. I think the tarot is more for me to be like, oh, I am a collaborator. I am a co-creator in this process. And there is help for me. Like, I don't have to do this
Yeah.
alone. And in fact, I never could,
Yeah.
even if
Mm,
it's the
that's beautiful.
biggest crack fic you've ever read in your life. Like,
Yes. Yes. I love that. To kind of bring up the astrology, I get asked a lot as an astrologer who writes books, like, oh, well, Gina, how do you use astrology in writing? And I think this may be what you were alluding to with numerology earlier, and I'm curious if it's what we're talking about is the same thing, because I think there comes a point, at least for me, where like I knew too much. Like I do this for my job. I know, like I see people be like, this is my character's chart. They're a Pisces sun. They have a Cancer Mercury. And I'm like, that's not possible. Mercury can only ever be one sign away from the sun. Like, I'm just like too aware of the technique. And because I'm frequently writing historical, like, I do look up the astrology of the time period. I absolutely look up, like, okay, what were the major transits happening? Like, I'm very aware of that, but I'm not like giving my characters a birth chart. Although I guess I kind of did for this book because both of okay, listen, don't judge me for this. Both of my characters, at least as of this draft, are born on the winter solstice, which I also am born on the winter solstice. And we know a very prominent fantasy writer who gave her hero her birthday, and she's the worst person alive. So, like, I'm aware that this is a problem, but also, I guess that makes both of my characters Capricorns. So.
It really does. It really
Oh
does.
Jesus Christ! Me being like, oh, I don't give them charts, but they're caps like me.
Well, I think that's kind of, and yes, the numerology definitely dovetails into this
Yeah,
because
yeah,
if you are going to give someone a life path number, and actually, I think it's really interesting to look at characters' public persona numbers and to
yeah.
decide what energy you want them to meet the world with.
The
And
rising comparison of public
yes,
persona rising. Yeah,
totally, because
yeah,
then you're like, okay, this is the character, but then this is the flavor of the character that everybody else is meeting. And so,
yeah,
how does that change the
yeah.
way that this character shows up in space or is received by other characters in the scene? It also helps me to be like, oh, right, people don't always say the thing that you think they're going to say. And also, characters can be thinking one thing, saying the complete opposite, which is also a
Yeah,
fun tension. So I think there's
yeah.
room in numerology to be like, okay, if this person is a 3 life path, which means they're the communicator. So, like, this
Mhm,
person is very expressive. This
mm,
person has a lot of big feelings. Like, maybe this
mhm,
person has a quick to rage button,
mhm.
but then what if they're a 4 public persona? So
Yeah,
4 is like a little sturdier, a little bit more rigid, a little bit more contained, but also kind of sharper. So then do you have a character who has like really a super messy
mm,
stream of consciousness way of
yeah,
thinking and then a very precise way of speaking? So then you're getting like, okay, what is this character not saying? And that
mm,
how does that change things? But then you also could get somebody who's like really rageful and instead of like
yeah,
being soft about their the way that they're expressing that, it actually
mm,
because of this 4 energy gets like exacting and cruel. So then what does that do if like a character pops off, says
yeah,
something that they can't take back and then has to deal with that?
yeah,
So I think there are really interesting things
yeah,
to do, and again that's it kind of mirrors what I do with tarot, which
yeah,
is that what if, okay, what are all the qualities, what are all the
yeah,
themes or concepts, how could that make what I'm doing on
yeah.
the page richer or more interesting?
Yeah. I love hearing you talk about that. It's interesting also me being like, I didn't do birth charts for my characters because I did actually try to do birth charts for them at one point because it is historical and I do know their ages and I know they're born on the solstice. So like I actually did pull charts but I think there's a way in which playing with like whether it's the intersection of what if they have like this public persona in this life path or what if they're this sun sign and this rising sign. I think there's a way in which like if you pull the actual date they would have been born and you see things that are like, oh no, that's wrong. That also is information that can help. Like, so even just experimenting with it can also help you, slash, it helps me get very clear on the qualities that a character either like does not have and does not want, or does not have and is moving toward, but like maybe doesn't have the tools. And so then it becomes a question of like, okay, well, how do I give them the tools? How do I teach them the tools?
Yes, yes, because the life path, if that's the long game, then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, if I'm just using my 3/4
Yeah. Yeah.
character who doesn't exist, but they do now.
Yeah.
Uh, this person, like that, then maybe that's the journey that they're on,
Mm.
is the journey to find out how to express themselves in a way that doesn't blow their shit up, or,
Mm.
like, and then how is that an interesting
Yeah.
character arc that
Yeah.
maybe I didn't know before based on this longer path.
Yeah.
I will also say for astrology, this that I'm working on now, because it's contemporary and
Mhm.
it's modern and it definitely has an intersection.
And it's about gay people.
It's
And
about gay
we
people
do
on the
love
internet.
astrology.
Yes, yes, totally. Yeah, so gay people love astrology. We're also all over the internet. There's like this media intersection. I decided, because this is a tie into numerology as well,
Mm,
you do have to make up a birthday, you know? So if you're like, okay, I want this character is a Taurus sun. Okay,
mhm.
now I'm looking at these dates.
Yeah.
Okay, but if I want them to be a certain life path number, then I gotta find a date that like adds up to that. And
Mhm.
so with these two characters in particular, I knew which sun signs were
Mhm.
like vibing with them.
Yeah.
And then I do have birthdays for them. And then I pulled that chart and I
Mm.
just let the rest kind of inform, like
Mm.
you were saying, you know,
Yeah.
or inform in like oh, I don't like that placement for them.
Yeah.
But for these in particular, I scoured Instagram for all these astrology memes and I found
Ooh.
like really funny ideas for characters out of what like people would be like Taurus mood board. And then it would be like 8 images. And I was
That's
like,
a great
oh,
idea though, low
it
key.
was
Like,
cool. It was
yeah.
cool. And then some meme makers do synastry. So they'll be like,
Mhm.
you know, Taurus and
Yeah.
Leo, and then like whatever that combination is. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, these are my guys.
Oh,
And
fun.
yeah, so
I love
like
that.
there are ways to uh engage with characters like through these modalities
Mhm.
that are out more outside of the box than just like pulling a chart for
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also you brought up a really notable thing too that I want to get into, which is what do we do? How do we treat like witchcraft, astrology, tarot, divinatory methods, like magic, what have you, in the projects themselves? Like when that is part of the world, like whether it's because with your contemporary romance you're writing about contemporary sapphics and 16 of them, one of them's got to be an astrology girly. That's just not believable to not have one of them be an astrology girly. And then like whereas in my project, I'm basically it's the characters are all, some kind of witch, right? And it's against the backdrop of a very dramatic time in the Roman Catholic Church when there were two and then three popes. Like the Catholic Church split in the late 14th century, and there was a pope in France and a pope in Rome, and different countries were allegiant to different popes. And it kind of like paved the whole way for the Protestant Reformation. So I'm just like throwing witchcraft on it, onto the like
Yeah.
grill, onto the fire, and being like, and what if we fantastically fictionalized a version of this where witches were also. But I'm also like treating kind of like balancing the act of all of the magic that I'm making up with historical like folk magic practices, like folk Germanic practices with grimoire stuff, with like what contemporary writings about and beliefs about witchcraft would have been, because this is also a little bit pre like the witch trial mania of 16th century Europe. It's like the very very beginnings of that. So yeah, I don't know, like wonder if you have if you have anything that you want to add about like do you have a particular do you feel like an ethical commitment or like pressure or just any feelings whatsoever when you're like someone who does this for a living but you're also then representing this modality in fiction?
Yeah, it's making me think of this novella that I wrote a couple years ago, and it was originally like a one shot that I was like,
Mm,
I don't know what this is, but it's a character going to another character for a tarot
mm,
reading.
mhm.
And then it grew from there. And so tarot was not only a part of my process, but then also a part of the story
Yeah.
itself. And I actually did the reading and then wrote
Mm,
the reading. So, like,
cool.
again, less about what plans I had for it and more just about how I was kind of following the carrot.
Yeah.
And but I definitely felt compelled to figure out how this character would read tarot in a way that held the same values with
Mm,
which I read tarot. So maybe our vernacular is not the same. Maybe the way
mm,
that we're speaking is not the same.
right.
Maybe the way that we are actually holding our readings are not the same, but there's something in the core of that that's like, I, the writer, am still communicating something about the way in which I feel tarot could be read,
Yeah.
within the
Yeah.
confines of the story.
Yeah.
I don't, but that's the only thing. I haven't written many like inherently witchy things, to be
Mm,
honest.
yeah. I will say this book has been a journey in that respect, and I will once again shout out my dear friend Sasha Ravich, who guested on our Witchcraft and D&D convo that we did a few month ago. Time, what is it?
Time.
Because I've had a number of readings with Sasha about my book, because in the start of it, again, in my whole like it just takes a long time for characters to settle and for me to figure out the relationships and the voices and the POV. I've got two main character POVs, in this book at this point. There was a third originally, but like cut it just completely. Um and something I kind of had to move into, really figure out how I felt about it really fucking fast, is because, like, even though on the one hand, the magic I'm writing is very fantastical, I'm like, I can't, like, send a fireball in real life. I can't, like, call down a lightning bolt into my hand in real life, Like, I can't do those things. I like to write those things. I like to read those things. But, like, that's, magic asterisk, it's fiction, we know that. But at the same time, I'm like, there are certain kinds of initiatory ceremonies that I'm writing. There are certain categories of character who have very clear folkloric inspiration. And so, like, what's the line? Like, and for a time, in the early drafts, I was like, oh, this character actually is this particular folkloric figure, this particular spirit. And it really took working with Sasha to kind of like untangle the whole, well, not even to untangle, but to give my Saturn ass permission to be like, just because this character has those qualities doesn't mean it has to be that spirit.
Mm.
Doesn't mean it has to be like the Baba Yaga, for example. Like, it can be a Baba inspired character, which also then sort of frees me from the ethical obligations of representation. I will say one of my biggest pet peeves in fantasy, and I'm a lifelong fantasy reader, I love fantasy fiction, go off, have fun, play, but I am never more annoyed than when authors, to my mind, this is just very lazy. They just pull the names of like Celtic. Sarah J. Maas is very guilty of doing this, for example. Like, one of the characters in one of her series is the Morgan. And the Morgan, that's the character's name. She has no resemblance whatsoever. And that, like, just pisses me off. That's like a very minor, but like very real thing. And because I'm like, but the Morgan is real, and the Morgan is a spirit, and you're like using her name for a character that has nothing to do with her, and also that frankly acts in really unethical ways that would be offensive to her. And like, I don't know. I think that like when even if we're writing fantasy fiction, what have you, I think that when it comes to like representing or, attempting to represent or draw inspiration from like real deities, spirits, classes of spirits, I do think there's a kind of ethical obligation to like do it justice. And again, like, where's the line between the creative freedom and also the like responsible, like, it wouldn't be responsible to represent the good folk as like always well-meaning in the human moral good sense of the word, right? Like, they are true neutral, they are mischievous, like, etc. This is a little bit of a tangent at this point, but I will just say that like I've had two readings with Sasha over the last 3 years about my project, and yeah, the first one was just very helpful in helping me get out of my own way, because I also then felt a little constrained, like, oh well, but I have to then stick to the folklore, and I felt like the limiting
Mm.
of the imagination. And she was like, just make up your own. You can make up your own, even though you're a witch. You can just make up your own figure in the woods, kind of, and draw inspiration and be like, and treat it and build it as those things to be, but like in a way that you are not then perhaps accidentally on the hook for a certain kind of obligation, if that makes sense.
It totally does. And I think that's really applicable to fantasy and
Mhm.
historical fiction
Yeah.
writing, which,
Yeah.
thank goodness for that tangent. I don't know what a historical fiction novel would look like from me. I probably wouldn't go there.
I mean, dude, technically a 1950s book is like historical. Like my writers group right now, we all have novel works in progress. And I'm not going to put any of their works on blast, but suffice it to say, two of us were like, we're writing historical fiction. And one of my friends was like, mine's set in the 1950s. And I was like,
You're
mine
also
is the
fantastic.
1380s. These are different kinds of history. Anyway, yeah.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. I think you said so many things that are really key for fiction writing
Mhm.
because even though, yes, the Sarah J. Maas's of the world, if you're going to use a well-known name and then not have it associated with that figure or spirit at all, then you're going to have readers who are like, "Hey, what are you doing here?"
Truly. Yeah.
But truly, like with fiction, you are making it up. Like you don't really have an obligation
Yeah.
to anyone or anything. I mean, you can write whatever you want to write and make
Yeah.
things happen however you want to make them happen. And there is so much inspiration and creativity and flexibility in fiction writing. And then there are also parameters that
Mhm.
you want to try and stay inside.
Yeah.
And so I think weaving this into some kind of practical advice for divinatory tools and fiction writing is like only use the tools insofar as that they are helpful and
Yeah.
expansive to your process. If
Yeah.
you start feeling like you've pulled this chart and it doesn't make any sense for the character, and now like
Yeah.
that character's not bound to that chart, you know?
No, not at all. And I just like want to extra shout out like those of us who are tend to have very literal, very rigid thought processes, my spicy neurodivergent folks, like you were making it up. You're not beholden just because you pulled that chart, toss it. It does not matter. Like you can just make it up. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is also, this is a self call out again. Like, that's also hard. Like, I'm not great at killing a darling. I definitely feel like, of course, this idea that I can say didn't come from me, that's fine. But
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it's the best idea anyone's ever had.
Yeah.
And like, how dare you critique this idea? I think, yeah, just flexibility being a part of fiction writing is so important. And so all
Mhm.
of these tools want to help you explore and expand, but if they start to box you in, then that might not be the right tool for you. It
Mhm.
might not be what you actually need.
Yeah.
You might, again, there's some how much power do you have? How much are
Yeah.
you the channel for
Yeah.
other spirits or inspirations? It's like, you might have to figure that out too. Like
Yeah.
maybe you're actually using these tools to look for something that already lives within you that you're just not
Mm.
trusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is possible to write books without witchcraft.
It
Plenty of
is.
people do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. I think there's something too here around like, and if the divinatory, if the astrology, if the numbers, if the tarot are not, quite unlocking what you need, like ask spirit for help. Again, you're a witch. Do magic about your book. Like you can light candles for your project. You can make a honey jar or a sweetening jar, sugar jar to sweeten ideas to you. Like if you feel like, you've been very uninspired and blocked and you're like, I just don't have an idea. Do some magic to like attract a good idea to you. Over the last year, I was really feeling, because I have so many writer friends, I feel very lucky for that. I've been very intentional about it, but also I feel very lucky for it. There's B, there's my literal wife, there's my writers group, but I am not like close friends with any fantasy writer. And this last year, I was really feeling the gap in that. I was like, there are just certain kinds of like problems that, like most writing problems, you can talk to anybody about who writes narrative length books. Like that most everyone can talk through a plot problem, but there are like certain aspects of speculative like fantasy writing that I really wanted to talk to someone who was also working in that space about. And I just asked my ancestors, can you just send me a friend who writes fantasy? And they, within 2 weeks, like, and now that person and I co-work every week. So like, you can also just ask for things. If you're like, oh, I'm feeling uninspired. Oh, I don't know if spirit's involved in my book. You're a witch. Do magic. Like, and again, this is also the part of like, yes, we can be a channel. Yes, we can be like, ideas can arrive and that kind of thing, but we have to be co-collaborators, which means that we're also collaborating, we're also being intentional, we're also doing magic and also showing up to like receive and to witness and to participate. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to say one thing about we're in a collective 1 year.
Ooh, yeah.
And you mentioned way long ago, and then we've kept saying this, like jotting ideas down
Mhm.
for safekeeping, even if
Yeah.
you're not going to use them right away.
Yeah.
One is the idea, the idea, literally. One is the idea.
I mean,
It
we
is.
love that.
It is. And
It'll be a year.
10, we're like in a wheel year, that's
Mm,
inspiration and luck and opportunity. And I think that ideas are instant, but
mm.
obviously projects take time and processes take time.
That is such a good
So
distinction.
this year in particular, write every idea down. You do not have to act on every idea, but especially if you're someone who's like, ugh, I really haven't had a good idea in forever, you might just not be catching them and like pulling them to earth. Like you might
Hmm.
actually have 1,000 ideas a day, but if you pull none of them down, then at the end of the day, you have a blank piece of paper and you're like, I had no ideas. So you could actually just start a practice of pulling ideas down and just jotting them down. And then
Yeah.
again, that's every writer's notes app, right? You never have to use.
Listen, and that's the Mary Oliver, right? Attention is the beginning of devotion. Like paying attention is step one. You can't be doing the devotional practice of like writing a book before you've paid attention to the thing that arrived as an idea
Yeah.
or that you were interested in and were like, oh, I'm really interested in this kind of obsessively all of a sudden. I wonder what that's about. Like,
Yes. And that's another thing I thought about this earlier. A couple years ago, I was teetering in a new fandom, and I needed
mhm,
somebody to just push me over the edge and be like, "You can do this. You can write for these people." And Lisa Quigley, who I've known for years, is a writer and a witch and much, much more.
mhm,
And she said on Instagram, your obsessions will lead to your most potent art.
mhm.
And I think
Yes,
about that like every day, truly,
yes.
because I am definitely a person who gets hyper fixated. I'm definitely a person who's like, okay, this didn't matter to me yesterday, but today I will die for this,
Never
like,
met a hill we didn't want to die on.
yes,
Fire
exactly.
Mercury. Like,
And sometimes that can feel like a waste of time. Or
mm,
sometimes I'll be like, why have I just been stuck reading about this thing or
mm,
going, scrolling the dash on Tumblr under this new tag or something? Like, why have I been doing this instead of writing my book or instead of doing this?
mm,
And that kind of just allows me the idea that whatever it is that I'm obsessed with, like, is a passion that's
mhm.
speaking in
Yeah.
some way.
Mm,
And maybe I just don't know what that is yet, but to just keep following the thread
mhm.
and also pulling pieces of it that could be used in other, like, you just never know how things are going to get used or
Yo, that part.
how, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
especially for a fiction project, like not for nothing, you have to fill X amount of pages. Like your story, you have to have enough
Oh,
details.
okay. I have to bring up the stupid Great Western Schism. This is another book I got about it. Like, listen, I do not know how it came to be that my book is set in that period and that the intersection of like weird papal authority and like the power of witches at the time. The papacy and the Great Western Schism was like not part of the OG idea that dropped. That was a research tangent. That was also something I learned about from astrology because I was, 2023, 2024 doing research on like, hey, Saturn in Aries is coming up and Neptune is going to go into Aries. What are the historical time periods when both of those things have been co-present? Oh, hey, this period, and this is where the astrology I think is really interesting because like we're in a Saturn, Neptune, Aries era right now, and one of the last periods that happened in was sure this, which is when I've set the fucking book. So I'm just like, things just show up and you never know how it's going to come together. Like, I don't know, books just rarely arrive fully formed. Also, an idea is not a book. Bless. Like, those are not the same thing. The idea is the seed, and then the book is like everything that grows out of it. Like, and you can't necessarily predict what's all gonna come, which is why what you're saying about obsession, I love that Lisa Quigley quote. I love that. Like, your obsessions will inform and add to and change the project in ways you cannot predict right now. You just have to stay in that, and again, easier said than done, but like staying in that vulnerable space of being open to where the process takes you, which may not be on your predetermined, like, right side brain. Which side is the logical side? I don't know.
Left, think the left.
Right. I don't know these things. Right. I'm an astrologer and was an English major. I don't know what side of the brain is for what. Okay, but listen. Like, you know what I'm saying.
Well, this is going to make what I'm going to say even funnier, which is that I feel like you've just been saying a different version of write what you know. So obviously you don't know anything about the brain, but
not about brains. I will never have a character who's a brain scientist. I can almost guarantee that.
You could learn a lot about brain.
I'm not obsessed with it though.
Not now.
Not now. You know what? That's true. Never say never.
Now I just want to sing Justin Bieber to you, which is not never sing never, which is not where this is going. But
I mean, listen, I think that the YouTube watchers are getting a treat because you are very Justin Bieber coded today.
Thank you.
It is very much giving Justin Bieber lesbian. So please do say, oh my God, even better. B just put their hood up. Help. Like, hello. Give it to us. Yes.
I know. I did also for the YouTubers. I told Jeanna that I, for some reason, thought I was going to wear headphones, even though we never wear headphones. So I was like, it's okay. I don't have to do anything to my hair. And then I came here and was like,
it's giving Justin Bieber, though. You're doing great.
Awesome. Yeah.
Do we have other final thoughts about... I don't know. I've just could talk to you about this all day is the problem. All day, so
constantly. Yeah. To sum up our fire Mercuries, we talked about... You can look at projects from kind of the outside or the macro, which is what are you doing as the writer or creator? How are you keeping your connection to both your spirits, your creativity? I love, Jeanna, how you talk about everything being a relationship. So how are you keeping your relationship strong with your creativity as a whole, but then also your project? So is that a book altar? Is that a honey jar? Is that some kind of other spellcraft? Is that pulling cards for yourself and your writing practice or process? Is that a structured writing process? Like, what does that look like for you too? How are you going to make space in your life for this idea to turn into a book? And then also there's the micro, inside of the project. Are you making charts for your characters? Are you pulling cards for your characters? Are you using tools for story beats? I just thought about a pendulum. You can always ask yes or no questions about things,
I always forget about that because I never use pendulums, but I think they're so smart and so helpful when you just need a yes, no. Having a yes, no divination form, very useful.
Get yourself a magic 8-ball, but know its personality. So if it's sassy and you don't need that as a writer, don't use a sassy magic 8-ball.
If your magic 8-ball is a diner waitress, maybe take that into account. Like,
They'll tell you to throw everything out and start from scratch, and you'll be like, bitch, I'm leaving this restaurant.
for people who don't know the Call Your Coven lore, the deep magic,
Yes.
Bee's magic 8 ball is a diner waitress. So,
Her name's Wendy. She's
mhm.
great and also not great. No, she tells it to you straight.
She's a sassy bitch.
Yeah, she is. Um, well, yeah, I mean, I think pulling ideas, right? Jotting down ideas.
Mhm.
Also, from a numerological standpoint, finding
Mm,
out what year you are in your cycle.
yeah.
And
Oh, this is a good way to wrap. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like
Looking at your own
where,
fucking stuff to see what's going on.
yes, like what's going on for you? Like what
Yeah.
perfection year are you in? Like
Yeah.
what transits are really lighting your shit up?
Also to say, like, I think that's so helpful and such a good reminder because when people are having like Saturn in the first, or Saturn on their sun or moon or Mercury, or even like Uranus, Neptune, Pluto on your Mercury, because Mercury is how you write, it's your writing process, your intellectual, like thought process, ideas, all of that. Like difficult Mercury transits will slow your writing down straight up. They just will. Like, or they'll like really, Uranus can like really disrupt or change it. So also just like, I don't know, I think looking at your transits can give you a lot of grace for uh for how things have been. Speaking as someone who just had Saturn squaring my Mercury for like 6 months, I'm very ready to, and I'm finally feeling like, oh, Saturn is in Aries now. It's out of Pisces for good. My Mercury can fucking breathe, catch a fucking break.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah, hell yeah.
yeah.
And I know you have third house thoughts too about
Oh, yeah. I
writing.
will say I get asked all the time if I'm gonna do third house readings again. I'm actually doing a section on my third house and writing routines in my new program, Book Deal Breakthrough. We're gonna talk about your Mercury. We're gonna talk about your third house, your writing routine, like what that means for your work, all that stuff. Um, but also, yeah, just like generally, if you're looking at your chart, if you're having Saturn go through your third, if you're having difficult transits, if you're in like, I don't know, this is why getting a reading with an astrologer is also incredibly useful, which I'm not open for one-on-one readings right now, but like, Mecca Woods, Meg Kane, I'll link them in the show notes, like, go see them and they will tell you also, like, what the fuck is up with your writing right now, like your third house, your Mercury, your ninth, if you're on a publishing journey, like traditional publishing lives in the ninth. So, yeah.
That's where my Mercury is. Mercury and
Mer-
Leo in the ninth.
Mercutio, if you will.
Mercutio in the ninth.
Okay, but Mercutio is also such a Mercury and Leo coded character,
Oh yeah.
like low
Yeah,
key.
especially the Baz Luhrmann.
Especially, is there any other Mercutio?
No. Truly, no. All the
Yeah.
ones before were wrong, and all the ones after are also wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except I did see a stage production of Romeo and Juliet at the Guthrie in Minneapolis where Mercutio was played by a woman and low key blew my mind. So good, so gay. I was unwell. So she and the Baz Luhrmann Mercutio can get it. Like,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Well, you had said earlier that you might want to pull cards. Are you interested in doing that
I
still?
would love to. I think this is the perfect way to end. Also, thank you for reminding my brain that forgot that we were going to do this.
No, of
That
course.
I recommended it an hour ago. B and I are going to end, and this is where the YouTube people are lucky because you're going to get to see the cards. We're going to end with pulling cards for each other for our projects. Because again, pull cards for your projects. Like, it's really nice. So I'm literally taking out my deck right now. It's the Modern Witch Tarot. But B, do you have a question you want to ask about the novel?
I think I do. I think I do. Um,
All right, well, one, two just flew out, so I'm gonna just take those as well. But
okay,
question,
great.
yes.
Well, I'm so curious about what those are. I think really I am in a place where I do need some help
Mm-hmm.
with the productivity piece of
Mm-hmm.
getting the story to exist outside of my
Mm-hmm.
brain
Mm-hmm.
in a more structured way.
Mm,
Saturn is in Aries, which is my fifth house. So,
yeah. House of
yeah,
creativity. Yeah.
I'm curious about those cards that flew out, but I'm
They
also
actually came out face down and I haven't flipped them up. So, yeah, yeah.
okay.
I will, no, I will definitely. And I also, I'm chaos. I only read the jumpers because I always have really active decks.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just asking for a helper to come forward for advice on how B can make the story concrete outside of themselves, living in its own body as opposed to living in B's body at
Ooh,
this point.
yes.
Let's see if anyone would like to come forward. Okay, okay. I'm gonna like give it two or three more because I think they might have just said what they said with these two that are down, and we'll see. We'll see. All right. So, anyone? This is last call. Oh, there we go. Okay. When I give my deck a last call, I usually get one being like, "Oh wait, no, I do want it." So welcome. That's how I read tarot. All right. So the last call card, stop it. Page of Swords came
Okay.
out. So I think that this is also a little bit of a read because very lovingly, the Page of Swords is like, just start.
I
It doesn't
know.
have to be pretty. 100. And also the page is like baby steps, small steps, beginner. Again, we were talking about like being in a beginner mind frame. It's like enjoy, this is dunce cap, loving, dunce cap,
That's
loving.
cap
Um,
energy.
but like this is very much, you know, I don't know, I'm very much on a personal finance kick right now. So like very much how like like it's better to start saving yesterday, but if you didn't start saving yesterday, start today because compound interest and time is your friend. And it's very much like don't worry if you can't do a lot. Don't worry if it's not like 1,000 words. 100 words is good. 100 words is 100 words you didn't have before. And I don't know, I just think Page of Swords is such a also like writer card that it's really like beautiful that this came out as a helper. And then the two that flew for you, Wheel of Fortune.
Sure.
We're in a wheel year. We're in a 10 year. So this is very funny. So also Wheel of Fortune, which is like to me, bitch, trust the process. Like it's gonna go well. You're already doing it. Like just let the wheel do what it does. The book's gonna come. It's just gotta take the time it takes. And then also the Three of Pentacles. So I think that this is also speaking to like, okay, so if we Page of Swords, get back into it, wheel, get back in just a rhythm. It's like the phrase rhythm of trust is coming out. Like very much like not even so much like writing routine, but like just getting back in a rhythm of trust with the book that you're going to be in a position sooner rather than later to start making it the group project. Like sending it to people for feedback, sending like the full to your agent. Like cuz to me in the context of writing a book, the 3 of Pentacles is very much like bringing other eyes, getting other eyes
Yeah.
on it, like moving up. Actually, it's like also like very much, even though it is a 3, it's like moving to a stage in the process where you have enough to have eyes on it
Yeah.
and to be like taking that next step to include other people. So I don't know. I think these are beautiful cards for you. How do
They're
you
really
feel?
beautiful, and I'm really happy to see them,
Yeah.
honestly. And the yeah, it makes me think of Terry Pratchett writes
Oh,
400 words a day. That's
mm,
his word count because
mm,
like then that's attainable, like an
hmm.
attainable goal. And then if
Yeah.
he writes more, great. And if he doesn't, great. He did
Yeah.
400 words. But like
Yeah.
that adds on to it is very
Hmm.
just practical. But then the Three of Pentacles, like that's ultimately what I want is
Hmm.
to have enough to then have it move on. And I think I'm just getting really tripped up in like, oh no, it's me.
Yeah,
I
which
have Page
also
of
that's swords, right? To an
Yeah.
extent. Like I love the Page of Swords. I love the Knight of Swords as like my favorite writer cards, low key. But like there is also something with the Page of Swords that's like, and I have to get out of my own way to just start. And
Yeah.
then the wheel can and but then the wheel is there. And it's like, okay, so the hard part is beginning, the whole game changer way that Sam Reich starts, like the only way to begin is by beginning. Um, but then the wheel will kick in, and that's very encouraging. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. Let's see what was on the bottom. Page of Wands. Yeah, you're fine, girl.
Great.
You're you're fine.
Okay,
Like
you heard it here first.
Oh, did I not? Oh wow, I didn't shuffle with the entire. Oh no, 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 I did shuffle with the entire deck. This is the everything is fine.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Panic of like, oh no, I didn't shuffle
No,
with the whole deck. But
that
no,
card
it's
can stay away. That card.
the additional 10 of swords that this deck comes with. Yeah, they can chill.
Yeah.
But- all right.
Okay. For Gina and her historical fantasy novel, I'm using the Tarot Emblemata by
Mhm.
Natasha Roland. And Gina, what do you want to know about your book?
Well, mine is also a productivity question because I was going to get a full draft to my writers group. By tomorrow was the original plan in December. However, life has happened and I was sick and travel and there's just a lot of things that happened and so I've pushed it a month. So I am now hoping to get my draft to them by like May 10th ish. And I feel like I finally know where the book is going, which is exciting. Um, but being so real, so vulnerable, just not going to think about the fact that this is a podcast right now. I am having like can I actually write a book like this? You know? Yeah. So maybe just some advice or words of support for this final stretch where I'm going to write like the last 20, 30,000 words.
Yeah, you are. Okay, well, first you got the chariot. So, hello, you definitely can write a book, and you can write a
Yay.
book like this. And it says, "Which way our godly forefathers have gone," which I
Okay,
kind
that's
of
so funny.
love
Yeah.
because also, well, so first of all, yes, like victory, success, but also
Mm,
willpower pushing through, like not unlike my own reading, like needing it's
yeah.
almost the idea that like these questions are taking up time that
Mm,
and energy that you could just be
could just
spending
be doing
doing
it.
nothing. Yeah, because
Yeah.
of course these questions are popping up and in some way seven is a practical number. So in some way like
Mm,
they are practical. You're like, am I wasting my time? Can I do this?
yeah.
Do I have the skill? Do I have the talent? But ultimately, yeah, people have already gone this road for you
Mm,
and like
that's
you are
true.
following. And then on the bottom of the deck was ancestors, which is a special card to this deck. And so I
I'm
love,
gonna cry.
I
That's like
know
really special
they
for
are,
reasons that people watching this have no idea, but will know if it comes out and if they read it. Like that's
yes, like, so we have
wow.
forefathers, godly forefathers, we have ancestors, and ancestors have already been such a big part of your process,
Yeah.
even in that you asked them for a writing partner and
Yeah.
now have one.
Yeah.
So when the chariot feels not attainable to
Mm,
you, you already know who to call on for support.
yeah.
And this also makes me think that all of your research is
Mm,
also so baked into this idea and like necessary for this
mm,
idea because you are actually learning about the way the forefathers have gone,
yeah.
and then you get to play with that. And when I asked about when you said the part about this last push, like this
Hmm.
last writing that you have to do.
Yeah, I'm like crying. You're making my Capricorn ass cry.
I love you
Right.
so much. Should I be like giving you more time to cry? I'm like, don't look at her. She's fine.
No. No, don't perceive me, please.
Well, also you got Eight of Cups. But I
Wow.
kind of love this. It says
Hmm.
nothing is more, more is nothing. And the cup is tipped upside down. And I see like these
Yeah.
being your words. Like,
Mm,
so Eight of Cups, again, not in the way that you're walking away from something,
yeah.
in a way that you actually have everything. You have everything that you need, and you just need to tilt the cup upside down and just
Pour it out.
let it pour
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
And like,
also hilariously, both of the characters are kind of an Eight of Cups moments in the project right now. So like it also feels very connected to like what's happening in the book
oh,
also.
that's so cool. Because this
Yeah.
was like the final. the final
It
push,
feels
of
very
course.
connected to one of my two main characters in particular, like where she's at. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, Eight of Cups. Helpful. Helpful.
Yeah, so Chariot, Ancestors, and Eight of Cups.
Very also, I don't know, to me that also just like feels so emotional, watery, like just like trust, like don't try to word count my way into this, just trust that it's going to come. It will be
Yeah,
uneven and non-linear as water is, and it will just happen.
yeah,
If I show up, it'll happen.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
the structure can come later.
Yeah.
Like, then that's part of what you're trying to
Yeah.
get to as well with,
Hmm.
again, that getting it ready to have eyes on it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like,
Ugh.
yeah,
I think it's so cool that we're in similar spaces with our projects right
I
now, like with
know.
like getting ready to, start to open it up to being a group project. And that's a scary and vulnerable place with a novel. So, yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. Well, because also with nonfiction, you can be like, well, sorry you didn't like that part. It's just historical fact. But like,
Yeah, it's like that was just my life, bitches. Like, get over it.
this you're like, oh, you don't like my Blorbo, but I worked so hard on her. Like,
That's my child. That's my physical, biological child. Like, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Ugh,
Gina.
my heart is so full. I
I
love you. And
know.
I
I
love that
love
we just like
you.
have a space where we can do this. It's so nice.
Me too. And if
Yeah.
you're watching this and you're like, hey, I really want to do that, do it. Pull cards with a friend,
Yeah.
have a little work
Yeah.
sesh.
Or go to Bee's Smut Club and like go write, like literally, like if you want an accountability space, like Bee runs a monthly like writing night
I
that's
do.
very smutty.
I
So
do. And this will come out before that writing night takes place. So
cool.
this month, it's a Thursday, April 16th
Mm.
from 5 to 7 p.m. PST. And I also run on the last Friday of every month, which is going to be the 24th this month. So maybe we might actually have it later. I don't know.
Mm.
I also run another co-working space called Avoidance Alley, where the idea is whatever you've been putting off, come, let's do it together. So if you
Mhm.
are putting off your writing or any kind of witchcraft around your writing,
Yeah.
these do not have to be like government admin tasks. They can be whatever it is that
Yeah.
you're avoiding.
Yeah.
And if you're a little farther along in your process, Gina really is your girl right now.
Yeah, Book Deal Breakthrough is my new 10-week intensive. I'm super stoked. We are literally doing like one magical group ritual every week around your birth chart, around spirits of the book, etc., and then pairing that with a publishing and writing Q&A every week. I have 6 industry experts coming in like to talk with y'all. My agent Dana Murphy, my former editor Jenny Shu, who is also Adrienne Marie Brown and Maggie Smith's editor. So like she's the fucking real deal. Carla Bruce, who's the former director of publicity at Harper One World, best-selling authors like Casey McQuiston, Nikki St. Crow, also my dear friend Lily Danziger, who is a former small press editor and award-winning memoirist. So like it's a stacked lineup that I have curated for y'all to just like come and learn so much about publishing, get so much support, do spreadsheets, do spells, do magic, get published. We start April 26th. The link will be in the show notes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So fun.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we'll be back in a couple weeks with a May forecast.
Hmm.
But until then, I'm just sending a ton of love to
Yeah.
everyone's projects, to
Yeah.
everyone listening, and
Yeah.
all of the magic you're making.
Yeah.
And we didn't say that, but I think fiction in itself is magic. Like
Yeah.
writing fiction in
Yeah.
itself is a magical process. So if
Yeah.
you're not adding any additional craft to your process, you're doing enough.
Hmm.
Writing is it. That's the
Yeah.
magic. And then also, I hope you have a lot of ideas about
Yeah.
how to bring craft and spirit into your work.
Yeah. Get in the comments. Tell us what you do. Tell us how you're doing. So,
Yeah, send us your books.
yeah. Lots of love, everybody.
Bye.